Hey guys, Jason here with TheMuscleProgram.com. I wanted to talk to you about something that I've never done before until recently, and that is fasting. I just finished what was supposed to be a 48-hour fast. I made it to about 40, and I'll explain why I only made it to the 40 mark here in a second. But the reasons why I started this fast. One was I had someone very close to me. They were having a procedure done that required a 48-hour fast. So I thought, I've been reading up on fasting lately, specifically intermittent fasting, which that's not what this is. But I'd been reading up on fasting in general, and I figured, hey, you know what? This is a good time for me to try it out. Let's just see what happens. And secondly, I wanted to give my body sort of a cleansing. And again, I've been doing quite a bit of research on all types of fasting. And, being into weightlifting, it's not something that we typically think about. I'm not a bodybuilder by any means, but I've been weight training since my teens for, 27, 28 years now. I'm 42. I just turned 42 in May. But it's not something we typically think about. You're lifting weights, you want to grow muscle, and to grow that muscle, you need nutrients, you need food. And us guys, we're always so scared about, man, I'm going to lose muscle if I miss a meal, and much less fast. But I wanted to see how my body responded, and I also wanted to do somewhat of a cleansing of my body, of my system. And again, in the research that I've been doing, and I'm no expert on this, I'm just giving you guys my experience. But in the research, the things that I've read, I just finished Tools of Titans by Tim Ferriss, which some of his interviews in that book, he talks about that. That thing's like a textbook. It's a great read. And then Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Body talks about that, as well as some of his podcasts. I'm a big Tim Ferriss fan, I'll admit that. So anyway, based on all of that and based on just this opportunity came up for me just to try it out, with my friend going through this, I went ahead and did it. So I made it to 40 hours, and what happened was I actually got sick in the middle of the fasting. I started out on Saturday. It was Saturday around 3 p.m. I'll kind of back up here. So I started out on Saturday around 3 p.m. I'd already had plenty of food that day. My wife and I, we eat out on the weekends. We support a lot of mom and pop shops, and if we're not doing that, then we're grilling on the patio here. So I have my fair share of food on the weekends. So I started around 3 p.m. that day, and that wasn't so bad. I went to bed later that night. I was still actually full. Sunday was kind of rough. I woke up Sunday morning and I was kind of hungry. I'm like, man, I sure want some grits and eggs, and I live in the South, so we eat these things called grits. So I want some grits and eggs, and I want some sausage and all that good stuff, and maybe a pancake or two. But I kind of fought through that. I knew that was going to be kind of a mental barrier, especially with breakfast being one of our primary meals and the weekend mornings. Fought through that, and pretty much throughout the rest of the day, I kind of felt hungry at different times, but you kind of find ways to block it out. I did a lot of reading that day, some writing. I played music. Most of you know I'm also a small-time heavy metal recording artist, so I practiced music that day. I didn't do anything super intense. I did watch a lot of Netflix as well. I didn't do anything super intense though. I wanted to keep my activity low because I did not want to expend any energy, being that I didn't have the nutrients in my body to provide energy, so that made sense. Sunday night, I actually started feeling a little, not really sick, but I started blowing my nose a lot. I wake up Sunday morning, and I'll backtrack in a minute. I want to tell you guys kind of what I did, liquid-wise throughout the day. But Monday morning, which would have been the last day of the fast, I actually woke up early that morning feeling like complete crap. So I had flu symptoms. I was feverish. I could tell my head was hot, and I was blowing my nose a lot. So I took some medications. I went back to bed for a couple hours. When I decided at that point, when I got up, I had decided at that point that maybe I should start giving my body those nutrients, because if I'm catching something or if I've already caught something, that's kind of what it felt like, then I need to get those nutrients and vitamins and minerals into my body. So I did that. Now, let me backtrack here real quick. I don't attribute the sickness from the fasting. When I look back, and I try to look at all the variables, when we do experiments on ourselves, you want to look at all the variables. So when I look back though, some colleagues of mine had been sick that prior week. So what I assume happened was that, my body was probably already fighting that. Now, the fasting didn't make me sick, but the lack of nutrients very well could have caused my immune system to drop down and that sickness take over. That's one theory of mine. Again, I don't think, had I not been fighting that to begin with, I don't think that the fasting itself would make one sick. So that's just my 2 cents on that, my theory anyway. But I decided to start giving my body some nutrients, so I took what would be my usual post-workout shake, which is almond milk, 2 scoops of whey protein, I think I did 1.5 scoops, a little bit of all-natural peanut butter, some blueberries and banana, and of course a teaspoon of honey, and I took all my vitamins and that sort of thing. So what was aspiring to be a 48-hour fast turned into like a 40-hour fast, which is still good. I still want to get that experiment of going without food for a long amount of time. So let me go back to what I did mainly on Sunday, because that was like the big day. That was the entire day without food. Saturday was a half day. I was already full when I started fasting, and of course Monday I kicked the food process back in. So Sunday I woke up and I had a scoop of amino acids. I take branched chain amino acids during my workouts, and amino acids, specifically branched chain amino acids, they increase your protein synthesis. So my theory on that is, while I'm fasting, let me take some branched chain aminos, just 1 serving every 2, 3, maybe 4 hours, and that would prevent some, if not all, muscle wasting. Because if you're starving yourself, it's been noted that your body will feed on muscle tissue to take in those nutrients, so which is not a good thing if you're training to build muscle. So I took in the aminos, hoping that would offset some of that effect that it has on muscle tissue. And I took those every 3 to 4 hours. I took some vitamins. I did eat a little bit of, no solid foods, but I did have a little bit of Jell-O, I think 2 to 3 times, and also had some beef broth at one point as well. So no solid foods. The fast was just to be away from solid foods. I did have some coffee. I'm a coffee fanatic anyway, so I think I had like 3 or 4 cups of coffee that day. And I think I even had that Saturday night when I started fasting. And I also drink, I think I had 1 cup of green tea. And I started doing more green tea, of course, on Monday when I really started feeling sick. So that's my fasting experience. So now the question comes up, would I ever do a 48-hour, or attempt rather, a 48-hour fast again? I honestly don't think I'll do that. If I had some sort of procedure, or there's some sort of medical reason why I needed to fast for that amount of time, okay, I have to do it, that's one thing. But just voluntary, I don't think I'll ever do a 48-hour fast again, or attempt a 48-hour fast. I can see myself doing a 24-hour fast. And again, guys, I'm not saying you should or should not fast. That's very much a personal decision. I mean, some people do that for their religious beliefs on certain days and so forth. And, hey, if that's what you do, that's fine. I just wanted to kind of do an experiment on myself to see how my body would react to fasting, and to also give myself that cleansing. And there's a little bit of that, that stoic mentality of saying, okay, well, I'm going to just deprive myself of this. And I think it was good for me. I think some type of fasting is good, because it does help cleanse your body out. And especially me, I eat out on the weekends a lot, and I don't eat crappy food, but I do indulge in some things, and I'm a craft beer snob as well, so I'll have a few of those on the weekend too. So it's not a bad idea for people like me that, I'm in the gym 5-6 days a week, but on the weekends I might relax a little bit and have some good wholesome food. Nothing wrong with that. So now, if you're competing for something, I don't recommend that you fast. If you're in some intense training and you're going for a competition or some athletic event or something like that, obviously fasting's probably not in the picture anywhere. Now, I can do 24 hours. I can see myself doing that again, probably anytime soon. I'm more interested though in the intermittent fasting, and that's when you eat your food sources for that day within a certain time frame, like let's say 8 hours or 10 hours. I've honestly never done more than 12 hours. So a lot of times what I'll do, and what I've been doing for the past few weeks, is I've been stopping my food intake around 6:30 p.m., give or take a little, and then I won't have anything to eat until the next morning around 6:45, 7 a.m. And that's usually when I get home from the gym and have my post-workout shake. So that's actually worked wonders. I've gotten a little bit leaner. My strength has stayed up. I thought, missing that later meal, because I used to do a protein shake with some peanut butter, or sometimes eat a full meal right before bed around 9 o'clock. So I thought that maybe missing that meal, I'd have less energy and less strength the next day, but that wasn't the case. And my strength stayed up. I noticed I got a little bit leaner doing that. My muscles stayed full. Mental focus was there. I've had a little bit more energy. I've slept better as well. Now I do take 5 to 7 grams of glutamine powder before I go to bed. That's obviously not a meal. That's just an amino acid. So I do take that on a regular basis before I go to bed. So that also helps me sleep better as well. But I did notice those positive effects from that intermittent fast. Now, going more than that, I don't know. I'll experiment with that at some point. I've yet to do that. So, guys, that's my 48-hour fasting, or rather 40-hour rather fasting experience. So, I've got a full write-up on my website. So if you go below in the description, you can click on that, and I've got a full write-up on TheMuscleProgram.com. So hope you guys enjoyed it, and feel free to leave any thoughts that you have on fasting. We'll see you next time.